Welcome to the Explainer. So, today we're going to unpack a really dense and honestly pretty complex philosophical text. It proposes this radical new way of seeing the world and our future. Let's just dive right in.
All right, so let's get started with a really foundational question that the author kicks things off with. What is it really that makes us humans the planet's apex predator?
Well, the author argues it's definitely not brute strength. I mean, think about it. A chimpanzee is way stronger than a human, pound for pound. They could easily overpower one of us. Nope. Our real strength, our secret weapon, is our unique, kind of unparalleled ability to adapt.
And the text gives a great example of this, the boxer Floyd Mayweather. People wonder how he dominated for so long. It wasn't because he had one perfect style. It was because he could fluidly adapt to literally any opponent, right there in the middle of a fight. We're talking changing his entire approach maybe 4 times in a single match. That's adaptability in action.
Okay, so here's the crucial point. This whole idea of adaptability, it's needed now more than ever. Why? Because the author makes the case that we are staring down the barrel of an unprecedented global crisis, one that our current systems just, well, they're not built to handle it. Not at all.
The text actually calls it a world state of emergency. And what's driving it? Something called the technological singularity. Now, this is the idea that 4 major technologies are all advancing and converging at an insane speed. The author calls them GRIN technologies. That's genetics, robotics, information, and nanotechnology. And together, they're threatening to totally upend what it even means to be human.
And this is where the author makes a pretty bold claim. According to the analysis in the text, a massive 82% of the world's population, 82%, follows belief systems that are just not equipped to handle this huge change. And we're talking about everything from major world religions to even materialistic atheism. They're just not flexible enough.
So, how do we navigate this crisis? Well, the book suggests we need a new philosophical toolkit. And notice the word toolkit. It's not about finding the one right answer. It's about developing a whole new set of mental tools, a completely different way to approach reality itself.
Okay, so the first tool in this new kit, it's called perspectivism. The core idea here is to stop thinking about worldviews as true or false. Instead, think of them as different tools in a toolbox. Each one is useful for a different kind of job, for achieving different goals. Here's a simple example the author uses. Let's say you want to do something like, send a rocket to the moon. A relatively straightforward physics problem, right? For that job, you'd pull a specific tool out of your toolbox. Classic Newtonian physics. F equals ma, gravity, all that good stuff. It works perfectly for calculating how to get from here to there in our solar system. For that task, it's the right tool. Simple as that. But what if you want to do something that those rules say is totally impossible? Something like, say, instant communication across galaxies. Well, then you need to put the Newtonian tool back and grab a completely different one. You need a whole new paradigm, something like quantum theory. See? Both are useful, but neither one is the single ultimate truth with a capital T. All right, the second big concept is called being bound for freedom. This is a wild one. It's the idea that the universe, the cosmos itself, isn't just a bunch of random, meaningless chaos. No, the author suggests it's a process that's structured to move towards one thing, more and more creativity and freedom for beings like us to actually shape our own reality. Okay, now this is where the argument takes a really surprising, kind of dark turn. The text starts to suggest that all these global crises we're seeing, they aren't just accidents of history. They're actually symptoms of a hidden war. The author introduces a German term for this, Weltanschauungskrieg. It basically translates to worldview war, and it's exactly what it sounds like, a conscious, high-stakes battle between groups to define and shape the very nature of reality to fit their own interests. And a key strategy in this worldview war is something the author calls destructive departure. And it's laid out as this really chilling 4-step process. Step 1, you target a society's core beliefs. Step 2, you tear down its values to make people feel lost and hopeless. Step 3, you swoop in as the savior with a new worldview. And step 4, you take control. You've basically conquered them from the inside out. And folks, this is where the text makes its most radical, and I mean its most controversial claim.
The author alleges that this exact strategy is being used right now. By who? By a secret breakaway civilization, a group that, according to the text, has its roots in post-World War II Nazi science, possesses technology decades ahead of ours, and is secretly pulling the strings of global events. So if there really is a hidden war for reality itself, how do you even win something like that? And this brings us to what might be the author's most profound claim about what true power really is. There's this quote in the book that says, "The authors who authorize phenomena are the authorities who are phenomenally authorized to do so." Let's break that down. What it's saying is that real power, the ultimate power, isn't about armies or money. It's the power to decide what is real, to literally be the one who writes the script that everyone else lives by. And this isn't even a new idea, really. The text connects it all the way back to the ancient philosopher Plato and his concept of the noble lie. You know, the idea that rulers have to create these powerful myths, stories they might not even believe themselves, to shape the culture and the beliefs of the masses. So this evolves into the power to create what the author calls novel folklore. This is the ultimate form of control. It's the ability to create new myths, new stories, new art that literally rewrite a society's shared understanding of what's real, what's possible, and what's true. And all of this, it all builds to one final huge takeaway. A really radical choice about the future of our world. It frames the entire struggle for the future as a battle between storytellers. So to sum it all up, the text argues we're in a high-stakes war over reality itself. The supreme survival trait is adaptability. A technological singularity is forcing our hand. History is really a worldview war, and in that war, the ultimate weapon isn't a bomb, but the power to write the story, the novel folklore that everyone else lives in, a power the author suggests may already be wielded by a hidden breakaway civilization. Which leaves us with one final, and I think deeply provocative question that really sums up everything we've talked about. If reality truly is a story, who should get to hold the pen?